All right. Logout macro, a contentious point of debate for a lot of the community who doesn't even interact with it. Um, the vast majority of people I see complain about logout macro are people who don't even really use it, softcore players and such, which is fine. You can have the opinion, but I think most people just don't fundamentally understand the place of the logout macro. The reality is the vast majority of hardcore players are okay with logout macro being a thing. It is healthier overall for the game. If there was no logout macro, there would be like 6 people ever doing anything in hardcore. Granted, it's not much higher than that now, but it would literally be a game mode for like 5 people. Nobody would have time to play without logout macro. So, I mean, that's fine. I would totally be good with a non-logout macro mode, and those 6 people can go play it. I'm down for that, but the vast majority of hardcore players understand its function and that it's not like a cheat or get out of jail free card. Now, sometimes it is, and I don't like when it is. But most of the time, it is essentially just another game mechanic. It's not an instant get out. There's often 0.5 to 1 second where you're still in the game. It has the chance of actually killing you. Anyways, I'll get into what I actually wrote here. So what happens if there's no logout macro allowed / no escape method allowed? So what logout macro fundamentally is a way to leave a fight. Otherwise you're locked in, right? So if some weird bug happens, tough shit. But I don't really even care about that point. It is just fundamentally a good game mechanic. What not being allowed to leave the fight would do is make it so most people farm for 100 years and get like perfect mirror tier gear before ever even attempting a fight, leading to a snooze fest that almost no one wants to do. Nobody wants to watch that on stream. Nobody wants to actually do it. Like, there would legitimately be like 5 players. Almost nobody will have enough time to constantly refarm good enough gear to tempt bosses every time they die due to being locked in if they don't farm godly gear on attempt 1. Not even most streamers. I don't think people understand the time constraint it would be without this in the game. It would be absolutely absurd. So, what logout macro does is it's one decision. Do you press logout or not? And then you're locked into the decision. It is a quick decision making. It is essentially like flame dashing out of a slam. Now it's obviously different than that, but it's the same concept. It's a conscious decision you make that you have to know when to make it, the optimal time to make it. If you watch new players play hardcore, they are terrible still. They're constantly dying, and they're still using logout macro. Why? Because it's not a cheat. It's not something that just instantly saves you all the time. You have to know what you're doing. So it allows you to attempt riskier content infinitely sooner, actually giving you more chances to die, not less, as you don't farm perfect mirror tier gear to simply attempt the fight. Because in PoE 1, almost every fight can just be outgeared if you spend enough time, and I'm assuming it'll be like that in PoE 2. That's not very fun, but that is what would end up happening because the amount of time it takes to get that gear, just almost nobody has that time. Skillful decision. I already kind of went over this, but yeah, you actually need to know when to use it. If you try hardcore yourself or as a new player, you're still gonna die a lot. Now, the things I don't like about it is there's some jail-free cards that I don't like. Like Maven Memory Game. If you fail it, it's kind of stupid. You can just keep logging out. Log out to DOTs, like if your flasks are gone and you're degenning from corrupted blood or something. Not really a huge fan of that. That kind of feels cheap to me. And it's very common to actually die from using log macro, as it did not have a 100% chance to succeed for most people. It is very susceptible to packet loss / lag, actually leaving you in the game for a while longer. Now what pause does It is way more OP than logout macro. You pause and then you spend as much time as you want thinking about your next move. So this means you don't actually have to leave the fight. You could pause it and look at what the enemy is telegraphing, unpause it, and move out of the way. And you can just do that as much as you want in a fight. It's dumb. People will absolutely do it, especially in competitive events, which if you're not competitive, then you really shouldn't care. But I think actually most people don't realize that they're semi-competitive and care what other people do. They think they don't, but in reality, they actually do. Like, if you're not pausing, you're at a disadvantage, right? So everybody is incentivized to pause. If you're a player who doesn't really care what other people do, then you don't really have an argument because you don't care what other people do. So why are you telling us what to do a logout macro, right? So, and then another thing you could do is pause and you call in a friend. That's lame. No reason to make logging out more powerful than it already is. It's already extremely powerful, and I think it should be weaker. But adding a pause is not the solution. So what is the solution? Well, they already had the solution, actually. You get like a 2-second portal channel time out of boss fights. And that's the way it was until recently. And it should be brought back. And then, yeah, you could like do lag switching or whatever to abuse DCing to pause your game. Because, right, if you lose connection to the server, it'll pause your game. I mean, that would probably be incredibly easy to detect, right? People who do that should be banned. And now, FAQ. I kind of said this a second ago, but saying that other people pausing doesn't impact your gameplay. Why do you care how other people play? Not a valid argument. If you don't care about how other people play, you're non-competitive in nature. It doesn't matter at all to you. And why are you arguing this? You don't care. You should be okay with any of these situations. Now, you could say, okay, but I have a family. I have 3 toddlers chomping on my ankles at all time. Grandma is on fire behind me. The fire alarm is going off. The FedEx man just jumped through the window to make me sign something for this new baby bottle. My tomato farm needs harvesting. I should be able to pause. Well, I'm sorry. The top pinnacle content, like endgame bosses, should not be balanced around you. What sense does it make to balance a game around your personal things, right? The game should be made to be as good as possible. If it conflicts with you, that is a you problem, not the game's problem.